Thanks for joining me today. Today we'll be painting bluebirds on an old mailbox with some daisies at the bottom. Of course, this is a personalized one where you can put your last name on the mailbox, or if you're doing it for a wedding present for someone, that would make a nice little gift there with their last name. All you need for this is 7 basic colors, same 7 colors I usually use. We have bright red, bright yellow, true navy, nutmeg brown, black, white, and Christmas green. You'll need just a few brushes for this. 1.5 to 2 inch flat brush, the soft bristles for our background. A 1 inch chip brush for our bushes. You'll need a soft bristle flat brush to block in the mailbox and do the post. If you are comfortable with using the larger flat brush, you can just use that. And then I've got a smaller stiff bristle brush. It's a hog hair, I think it's a number 8. And that's for dry brushing in some of these highlights on the mailbox. You can use the chip brush for that, but I would recommend a smaller one that's a little bit, you can get a little more detail in. Then of course you'll need a couple detail brushes. The more the merrier. We'll be using those on the birds and the daisies and putting your name in and the flag and all of that. So I hope you enjoy painting along with me today. Now to start off, we're going to have a pink and blue sky. We're just going to have little patches of pink and patches of blue. Not really any rhyme or reason to it, just whatever you like. So for that, we're going to start with the blue patches, just a little bit of blue and a lot of white. Because we're going to want just a faint blue. And remember, I know I say this all the time, but acrylic paint dries darker than it goes on. So just keep that in mind as you're mixing this up. Because we want just a really light blue. All right, that's a pretty light blue right there. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna start putting in some blue patches here. It's not quite a glob there. And it doesn't have to be any particular shape or anything. Any particular places. We're just putting some blue patches in here. You can make them meet like that, or you can have them all separate. However you want to do it. I tend to just put some all over as I go. I don't really care too much about where it goes, just make sure that when you do have the blue going all the way to the edge of the canvas, that you actually make it go all the way to the edge. Don't leave any white spots along the side of your canvas. And try not to leave any real hard edges where you're going to have pink. See how this is kind of feathered right there? We don't want any really hard, straight edges there because it just doesn't look very natural. And I'm just continuing to mix a little bit of blue and a little bit of white as I go. My easel's walking all over the table. And the bottom here, you don't have to worry too much about the bottom. I'm just gonna fill this all blue down here because we are going to have some bushes right here. So it's all gonna be covered up anyway, but I'm gonna put some blue back here just to have some cover. So it's not just blank canvas we'll be working on. All right, I think we're ready for our pink now. So you're gonna wanna wash your brush out. All right, now I'm gonna do, I've still got room on my plate. I'm gonna put just a touch of red. You don't need a lot. Especially if you're looking for just a really pale pink, you don't want a lot of red. That's more white. All right, I'll get my wash brush again. It's the 1.5 to 2 inch flat brush. All right, now you've got a little bit, it's running in there. A little bit of that red. I'm just gonna mix it over to the side. Just looking for a real pale pink. That looks good. I mean, it's almost white, and in the camera it may look even like it's still white, but it is a pale pink. And I'm just going to brush all the way. I am going to let it brush into this blue a little bit. Now, if you are looking for a darker pink, you can go ahead and put a little more red in there. That's okay. It's up to you. It's your painting. But I'm just filling in all these blank spots. This pale pink. And again, don't leave any hard edges. Feather it out and make sure you're filling in all of the canvas. Don't leave blank white spots like that right there. Make sure you're filling it all in. And if you want some little white streaks through your colors, you can just dip straight into white and then just brush some of that in there. Just adds a little bit of interest to it there. Some little streaks in it, so it's not all one straight color. That's another reason why I mix on the plate and don't mix up one batch of the color and just paint from that, because it's nice to have that little bit of variation as you paint. Bring it right over to this blue, blend it right in. Nice thing with pink and blue is they will blend pretty nicely. You get some colors, like you start blending blues with yellows, that's when you start running into trouble and end up with weird green effects. But some colors you can blend while they're still wet and it's not an issue. And pink and blue is one of those. It makes, if it starts blending a lot, you get kind of a purple color, but it matches. It's not awkward looking. Just about done here. Now if you get done with this and you think you want more pink on your canvas, you can go in and just drop some pink in spots. But I wouldn't fret too much about the background because we're going to be focused mostly on our little bluebirds today. So if your background isn't exactly perfect, that's quite all right. Add a little pink there. See how I did that? There wasn't the white spot there, but I just added a little bit of pink there. And you can do that wherever you want to. When our paint is dry, or mostly dry, we're going to go ahead and put in the little background bushes. We're just going to start with a dark green color, and when we put these in, we're going to leave a little bit of a space right here because the mailbox is going to come up right through here. So we'll just bring the bushes up to about where the post for the mailbox is going to go. And all you need is green and black. And I've got this is all dried paint on here. I reuse my plates. Otherwise, I would go through plates so quickly. I got some green there, probably a lot more than I need, and some black. So we're just making a nice dark green color. I've got my 1-inch chip brush. I'm just going to mix those together. Yep, I got a lot more than I need. That's all right. And now we're just going to tap in some bushes here. We're going to go all the way to the bottom of the canvas. That's one thing I always like to make sure of, is that I go all the way to the bottom. Because nothing is more annoying than taking your canvas off the easel and finding out you've got a big white strip along the bottom. All right, there we go. And now for these bushes, I'm just tapping this in. And I'm just making little undulating shapes here. We don't want it all one straight hedge. We want it to be more like natural growing bushes. We're going to leave a little space right there. Now you can bring these up as high as you want. If you'd rather this look like trees or something in the background, you can bring them up if you want to, but we're just going for bushes. I'll leave that gap there. Might bring these up just a little bit higher. One thing you may notice is the more you tap along the edges of these bushes, and as the paint, you have less and less paint in the bristles of your brush, the hazier the edge looks. It just softens that edge a bit. So if you want the edges of the bushes to be really soft looking, you just keep tapping the edges of them as the paint works itself off your bristles. And I'm just gonna tap a little bit through here just to pick up all that excess paint that's gonna take forever to dry. Again, just evening out the paint, keeping it from being too globby. There we go. And we're gonna leave that to dry for a few minutes before we put our post in. But what we can do in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to dry, is we can sketch in our mailbox. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my new classes.